Welcome back to another income portfolio update, showing all of the income I receive outside of my work salary. In this video, I'll give you an update on the dividends I received in March, and my dividend stock portfolio in general, including any stocks that I bought or sold. I'll also discuss my premium bond position, and what I won in the March prize draw. And finally, I'll run through my income and expenditure for my real estate investments. What I'm trying to do on this channel is build a portfolio of cash flow generating assets that pay me each month, and these monthly videos show how I'm progressing. Let's get straight into the numbers. Firstly, looking at my dividends. In March, I received £263.58 from 12 different companies. I am really pleased with this total, as it's increased £78.41 from last year's March total of £185.17. Comparing last year's March dividends to this year's, we can see that I've sold out of 3 positions, Enbridge, Exxon and SSE. But then I've also added Trig, and I've also had VHYL pay me in March, rather than April as it was last year. Realty and HDLG had a little bump, but most of the other positions haven't moved much. So how do my dividends look if we zoom out and look at the totals? This graph shows all of the dividends that I've ever received, and we can see that the numbers have been increasing year on year, as I keep contributing and reinvesting my dividends. There are a lot of monthly fluctuations due to the different payment dates of my holdings, so I prefer to just focus on monthly averages, rather than individual months. Last month, my monthly average for the year was £68.56. But as my largest payment months are March, June, September and December, the average has now increased to £133 after March's dividends. At this point last year, my average for 2023 was £92.98. So it's pleasing to see that the average this year has increased by £40.58, which is quite a lot when I think about it. However, to get a more accurate analysis of the average, I will wait and see what the full year average is. All dividends received are always reinvested back into the portfolio to buy more shares that will pay more dividends, and then I just allow the compounding process to do its work. Now let's have a look at my stock portfolio that generates these dividends. It currently stands at £60,717 invested. I don't ever plan on selling any of the principal, so I don't really pay too much attention to the market value of my portfolio, as it's something that I can't control. As a dividend investor, I'm only ever interested in the income that the portfolio generates through dividends, which are always reinvested back into the portfolio. So what is my portfolio made up of? As always, being fully transparent, here is my full portfolio, showing all unrealised gains and losses. Most portfolios will have winners and losers, and I'm no different. I always make a point about being open and honest about my investing journey. I'm not an expert, I'm not a guru, and I don't pretend to be. I'm just a normal person trying to improve their financial situation, and documenting the process through this channel. If you do appreciate the transparency and want to follow along, I hope you'll consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. As always, it's greatly appreciated. Let's now look at how much I deposited into my portfolio during March. If you are a regular viewer of my monthly updates, it might not come as a surprise that again I managed to contribute another £1,667. This is just me sticking to my new strategy this year, where I'm hoping to invest £20,000 over the year to max out my ISA allowance. I'll show you how I'm tracking to this plan in more detail later on in the video. As I mentioned last month, I don't always use the cash deposited to buy shares straight away, and tend to wait until prices look appealing to me and my positions. I'm not trying to time the market over long periods, but just prefer to hold some cash back in the event of any short-term drops. Also, Trading 212 are offering 5% per annum on uninvested cash at the minute, which is paid daily. So I do still earn on my deposited cash, even if I'm not putting it into the market just yet. With the March deposit, I now have £4,542 in cash, and earned £12.30 in interest over the month. Let's now look at how my total amount invested has grown from zero over time, using this graph. The graph is continuing to trend upward, and just shows how consistent I've been over the years, in adding to my portfolio each and every month. I'm not doing anything special or complicated. I'm just staying disciplined and sticking to my plan. These regular contributions are a key part of my overall strategy to keep feeding the portfolio, which increases my dividends and accelerates the compounding process. So let's have a look at the stocks that I've been buying and selling over March. I have spent £904 adding to my existing positions. PepsiCo has dipped from around $170 to around $162, and as I couldn't see anything fundamentally changing with the company, I bought another 4 shares at $163.04. It's a similar story with Unilever, again dropping from £40 to around £38. So I bought another 10 shares at £39.06, which is under my average price. These buys will roughly add around £31 to my annual dividend total. The market does seem to be really high at the minute, with a lot of my shares at all-time highs. Like I mentioned before, I'm not trying to time the market over the long term, but I am a bit reluctant to buy at these prices. I created a diagram that shows what I try and do when prices are rising, which is just to wait for small pullbacks before I buy, even if the overall price trend is increasing. The key thing to note here is that the business is getting better, and that's the most important thing, i.e. revenue and cash flow are improving, expenses are reducing, etc., and therefore the stock price is following suit. So as I'm not likely to buy much for now, I'll hold a cash position until I'm ready. After these purchases, this means that the overall yield for my portfolio as a whole currently sits at 3.75%, which has dropped slightly from 3.76% in my last update. This equates to around £2,275 per year in predicted dividends, £190 per month, £44 per week, and £6 a day. There will always be a discrepancy between my actual dividends received and my predicted dividends, just due to the timing of me purchasing shares and then being eligible through the ex-date of the dividends. I hold all of my shares in the Trading 212 app, using a Stocks and Shares ISA, which means that all capital gains and dividends are tax-free, as I'm based in the UK. As mentioned earlier, you can also get 5% per year on all uninvested cash. So if you are interested in starting a portfolio with Trading 212, I do have a link in the description where you can use my code, and we'll both get a free share worth up to £100. And if you wanted to, you can just sell that share straight away and pocket the cash. So how am I looking compared to my forecast? If you've watched my last couple of portfolio updates, you'll know that I've created a forecast that I'm tracking my progress with this year. If you'd like to know how I calculated this, then I explain it in the January 2024 update video, which I'll link below. Doing this forecast allows me to monitor how this portfolio is developing, and also serves as motivation to carry on doing what I'm doing, as it means that I can see what this portfolio could become in the future. So let's now see how I'm doing and look at my actuals versus the forecast. Over March, I forecast to add £1,667, and as mentioned earlier, I have contributed that amount again. 3 out of 3 so far on this front. I also forecasted to receive £213 in dividends, and actually received £264, which was £51 more than expected. So if we add up my invested total plus my cash total, this comes to £65,260. After 3 months, I'm more than on track to end the year at the 80k portfolio target. In fact, I'm probably still a month ahead of schedule right now, so should easily hit the 80k target if I carry on doing what I'm doing. Finishing the year with around 80k invested means that going into 2025, the portfolio will be generating a dividend of around £250 per month. This keeps me on course to hit 100k by the end of 2025. It is really motivating to see that if I just keep doing what I'm doing, by the end of 2028, I could have a portfolio generating nearly £500 a month. Let's now have a look at what I received for my premium bonds in the March prize draw. My premium bonds are my emergency fund. They're a low-risk investment where you're entered into a monthly prize draw where you can win between £25 and £1 million tax-free. I do enjoy being part of these draws, and the more you have invested, the more chances you have to win. Any wins that I do have are just automatically reinvested into buying more premium bonds. And I have £16,200 invested of the £50,000 maximum that you are allowed. You'll notice that my invested amount has dropped since last month, where I ended the month on £16,850. This is just because I sold £650 worth of bonds to pay for some work that I've had done on my garden. If I do have any spare cash over the year, I will look to replenish this amount. So what was the March prize draw result? Sadly, I didn't win anything this time. I also invest in real estate and currently rent out 2 buy-to-let properties and a secure car parking space. So over March, this is what the numbers look like. The rental income has stayed the same. My 2-bed flat gets £1,000 a month and my 1-bed flat gets £775. I also get £80 a month for renting out the parking space. The management fee has stayed the same, as has the mortgage. And if you watched last month's video, you'll know that I had quite a big repair bill to pay. But thankfully, I don't have any maintenance costs this month. Therefore, my pre-tax profit over March is £1,004.90. That concludes my monthly update, and this is the summary for the month, with £1,280.78 received. I do document my investing journey on this channel, and you can see how this has been progressing if you go back and watch some of my earlier videos. If you are interested in following along, please subscribe to the channel to make sure that you don't miss any future updates. And if you have enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, as it does help the channel out a lot, and it's something that I really do appreciate. So I hope I've covered everything that you wanted to hear, but if not, feel free to drop me a question in the comments section below. I'll be reading and responding to every message that I can. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.